CTA Blue Line, O'Hare-bound Blue Line trains running with delays due to mechanical problems on the train. That's the CTA Blue Line at Pulaski. That's the CTA Blue Line at Pulaski. Expect delays there. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, solid traffic going northbound between Bryn Mawr and Hollywood. Traffic building on the Eisenhower inbound between North Avenue and the Tri-State Tollway. It's about a 5-minute delay there. An earlier vehicle fire on the left shoulder blocking traffic I-41 northbound at Highway K. On the Kennedy inbound, it is stop and go between Lawrence and Montrose. A 13-minute delay for Kennedy inbound between Montrose and Damon Avenue. On the westbound South Shore line, delays up to 15 minutes on train 114 due to passenger train interference at Millennium Station. Slow traffic on the Dan Ryan inbound between Stevenson and Roosevelt Road. Working a 5-minute delay on Eisenhower inbound between Austin Boulevard and Western Avenue. On the Kennedy, slow traffic outbound between Chicago Avenue and North Avenue. A 10-minute delay if you're Kennedy outbound as well between Damon and Belmont Avenue. On the Stevenson inbound between Central and Kedzie, about a 5-minute delay there. And slow traffic building on the Tri-State Tollway northbound between Reagan Memorial and Eisenhower Expressway. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now a check of your weather forecast from the National Weather Service.
Clouds in, some breaks of sun, a thunderstorm for late afternoon. We could see some hail and damaging wind. The high today 80. For tonight, clouds and breezy. Thunderstorms could bring hail and damaging wind, low 47. Clouds and sun, cooler day tomorrow, the high 57. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
All right, good morning. Amy Jacobson here. Jim Urio from the Futures Edge podcast and also a contributor to wirepoints.org joins us, filling in for Dan, who will be back on Monday, by the way. I know the ladies miss him. Men adore him. We know how that goes. But there's been a rare victory in Illinois, Jim, when it comes to House Bill 2827. That is the homeschooling bill, which would allow the government to essentially come into your home to check the curriculum, to make sure everything is running smoothly. Oh, and also to check immunization records. Yeah, that's not overreach of big government. But the person who sponsored the bill, this lovely lady, she is named Tara Costa Howard. Of course, she has a hyphenated name. Here's why she authored the bill to begin with.
The intention of everyone involved in this bill was to create new protections for children and families. It truly is a simple form that can protect families from those nosy neighbors. They can demonstrate best practices in homeschooling, things that they're already doing, keeping records of a child's progress, and the many different things that they can learn. But most important, it provides a tool to make sure children do not go dark and missing. We want to know they are okay. There is nothing in this bill that requires a curriculum. There is nothing in this bill that requires a mandate of vaccination. The truancy laws that are included in this bill are the exact same truancy laws that we have here in Illinois right now. And so does Virginia, and so does the state of Wisconsin. We know we still have work to do on this bill. And based on the comments in committee, I look forward to the specific language that was recommended by my colleagues on the other side of the aisle and was said in their press conference. Protecting our children is a moral imperative. But finally, on a personal level, I am deeply sorry and disappointed that some people would use this as an opportunity to sow seeds of anger and fear by actively spreading misinformation to make people afraid rather than work together on the real issues. And that is to make sure children receive an education and that they don't disappear until tragedy strikes.
Well, the state rep who voted against this, Blaine Wilhour, state rep for District 110. And good morning, Mr. Wilhour. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jim and Amy. How you guys doing?
We're fine. So Tara Costa Howard there claimed that there are victims of homeschooling. And so who are they and what happened to them?
That's a really great question. They basically made this bill based on a ProPublica article about two cases, and then they're trying to punish the whole homeschooling community for it. But at the end of the day, it's a bunch of nonsense. A piece of paper at the Regional Office of Education sitting in a file is going to do zero to protect vulnerable kids. It's the same thing with the gun issue. The people that are most likely to not comply and not fill out these that are most likely to not fill out these forms are the people that are most likely to do the abusing. Not to mention the fact that most of the abuse that's happening in the government schools are from your higher end people. It's from your educators. You know, Terra Costa Howard's got 2 perverts in DuPage County in just the recent news that are molesting kids right under their nose. They're not doing anything about that. This is about power and control. It always has been. The bill literally starts with homeschooling as the fastest growing form of education in the country. Well, guys, why is it the fastest growing? It's because the government schools have failed.
Yeah.
Period.
And there's a bunch of predators in there, it's so a lot of people, not a lot of people. How many people signed petitions against this?
Yeah, overall, there's been, I think, over 130,000 people do it. But they try to, on the initial bill, I think there was somewhere around 50, and then they tried to slip in an amendment at the last minute, and overnight there was another 50. And then when they came back to committee, there was another 30 or 40 within 12 hours. So this goes to show you that, the opposition can punch above its weight in this state, but we've got to get some nerve. All right, the Republican Party needs to learn to fight. We need to learn how to build new coalitions to do it. And I think this homeschooling pushback is a great example of that. We had the combination of inner city of Chicago and rural Illinois coming together, and I think that's a powerful coalition. And I think the Republican Party needs to wake up to that. That's our path going forward.
Thanks. This is Jim. Thanks so much for fighting the good fight. It's amazing. So when I see something like this come about, I want to know: am I just being a crazy tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist when I think there's got to be a straight line between teachers' unions who know full well that they are losing this game, and they have been for several years, that are trying to influence politicians to push these things to gain greater control of it? Or am I being too crazy?
Oh, no, not at all. The teachers' unions are running this state. They're running it in the Democrat Party, and there's too much influence in the Republican Party. I ran against those guys in 2018 when I came in, defeated them. They spent about $500,000 in my little district here in South Central Illinois just in the last year trying to defeat me on this. These people are desperate, and the Republican Party needs to learn that, hey, we don't have to kowtow to these people, because every single issue that we push that's going to change the state of Illinois, these guys oppose. They don't support us, and again, this is all about power. See, these homeschoolers and these private schools that choose not to be recognized, they do it for a reason, because they don't want anything to do with the government schools. They don't want to be tied to the school code. Okay, that's what this is all about. At the end of the day, they want to tie these people to the school code. They want to get their nonsense in there in the curriculum and everything else. Just 2 years ago, they were trying to put SB 818, which is this ridiculous, disgusting sex ed that was teaching kindergartners about masturbation and stuff like that.
Gross.
They wanted to put that in the school code. And issues like this are tying these private schools and homeschools to the school code, and the school code is at the will and the whim of one of the most far left legislatures in the state of Illinois. Fix your own problem, government schools. Leave the homeschoolers alone.
Deliver a better product, and you won't have to worry about this stuff. Now, my eyes were opened. I think a lot of people don't know this. This is 15 years ago. My daughter's was 16 years old at the time, and she had taken a job at Peggy Canan's in Arlington Heights. Or a nice restaurant.
I just saw it last night.
So I'm told.
Didn't go there, but I saw the restaurant.
I'm told that at 16, she can't get a job at a place that serves alcohol unless she gets permission from the high school. I'm like,
what? The high school?
I swear to God, you guys don't know. But Blaine, is this?
What about permission from the parents?
Exactly. And I literally had to call the high school, and this woman goes, do you really want your daughter working at a bar? I swear to God, she said this to me. And my face is red and my wife is holding my arm. Don't yell. Like, I will make the decisions about it. And it's a restaurant too. And a bar isn't necessarily a bad place. But this, I think a lot of people need their eyes open to this. And I appreciate the work you're doing. If you have any comments on that.
100%. Well, hey, maybe we should get our public education system, our government schools, focused again on excellence.
Amen.
All I hear about, I'm the ranking member and the minority spokesperson on the K through 12 appropriations. All we hear about is, equity. And I actually got into an argument with the chairman on what is more important, excellence or equity. That's what we're at. That's where we're at. Let's focus on excellence, especially in reading and math. And, we need to put the power and the choice in the hands of the parents. I say it all the time. We believe in local control, and parents are the best source of local control. They need to be making these decisions. Our education system is failing, especially for the people that can afford it the least. Chicago Public Schools, 1 out of every 10 African-American kids is reading at grade level.
Hey.
3 out of every 10 for everybody. This is a dismal failure, but we're too focused on propping up a broken system because the teachers' unions and these other special interests are, quite frankly, funding just about everybody in the building.
Well, what about DEI and Title IX? Doesn't look like the state of Illinois anytime soon is going to comply with the executive order that President Trump put into place. And I say that because Naperville School District 203, I want you to hear their teacher training module on continued education. Trish Sinadecki, she's the project manager, and this is her advice. This is what they're telling teachers to teach in the classroom.
As your students get better at discussion and deepening the dialogue, you want to consider that there are topics that are not open for discussion or debate. Students are certainly encouraged and entitled to express their opinions supported by evidence in class. There are topics, however, that are considered settled. The researcher Hess introduces us to the importance of differentiating between open versus settled questions. Open means that it is still open for debate. Closed means that a vast majority of the social scientists on this issue agree on a conclusion. So we don't discuss closed issues in the classroom.
Here we go.
For example, we don't discuss global warming. Instead of asking, is the climate changing? It would be better to discuss, what should we do about it? Questions related to vaccines and their related health impacts have repeatedly been proven by scientific research and data, so we don't discuss whether vaccines create autism because there is discoverable answer. We don't discuss whether or not the Holocaust existed. And we can use empirical data to begin conversations about race in the United States. We don't debate whether or not systemic racism exists. It is settled. It is not a topic to examine from multiple perspectives. Rather, we should discuss what to do about systemic racism.
Okay, so of those 4, global warming, can't discuss. That's what they call a settled topic. Vaccines, a settled topic. Holocaust, I agree with. Systemic racism, settled. These are not open topics. They have to be settled. What is your reaction to that?
What a weirdo.
Yeah.
I mean,
You got my vote.
what are we doing? What are we doing? Our education system is a complete disaster, and we're here talking about this social justice and left-wing indoctrination and all of this garbage. Get this Marxism nonsense out of our schools. The only way that this is ever going to be fixed is number one, the Trump administration, Department of Education, needs to put some teeth behind their executive orders on this DEI stuff. We want to take DEI out of the schools because it has no place there. Okay. And it's detracting from students learning how to read and learning how to do math. All right. So, let's start actually cutting some federal funding here. That's the only way that you're going to get these people's attention on any of this stuff. Illinois is a fiscal disaster. We're sinking. We're billions of dollars in the hole. They need to start doing some of that. And at the end of the day, we need competition in our schools. The states that are actually making the biggest progress on literacy are states like Mississippi, Mississippi, Tennessee, Louisiana. These aren't rich states. And the Democrats like to say that, these states aren't as diverse. They don't have as many low-income people. Well, Mississippi, all right, they're doing the best. And you know what they're doing? What? They're not focusing on DEI. They're focusing on reading and math. And these states have robust and growing school choice programs that put a lot of pressure on the government schools to do better. And that's what we need at the end of the day in Illinois. Until we get that, we're going to be in trouble.
All right, so what's next for House Bill 2827? Did it go back into committee where it's going to die, hopefully?
Well, nothing is ever dead in Springfield, especially for the Democrats. So she doesn't have the votes right now. If she had it, they would have put it up there, and that is 100% due to the public pressure that was put on. We told people to come to the Capitol. They came there in such large numbers that they had to shut the place down with their peaceful protest. And the Black Caucus don't like it. Because homeschooling is growing the fastest in these urban areas because, like we said before, this is where the education system has failed the most. And this is a wake-up call to the Republican Party that, hey, there's an opportunity here. We have a lot in common. Rural Illinois and urban inner-city Illinois has a lot in common in the fact that our economic system, our cultural system has been destroyed by bad public policy from people like J.B. Pritzker is a dismal failure. So let's take that lesson and move forward in 2026 and actually win some seats and maybe get the governor's mansion back, right?
I know. See, this gives me hope for the Illinois Republican Party because normally we have no hope.
You didn't have a response to that. What I was going to say is I'm amazed. Like I'm hearing a politician who makes complete sense. You are like the rarest of species. I think you should be studied. So that's where I'm at.
Hey, there is a great group in Springfield that is trying to make common sense common again.
Who'd have thought?
The Freedom Caucus from South Central Illinois and Eastern Illinois here. That's a lot of times that's just what it takes, guys. We got to learn to fight.
Yeah.
We got to fight. We can't be afraid of the issues. The Republican Party for the last generation has been too afraid. We've twisted ourselves into pretzels, trying to, appeal to people that are crazy, that are never going to support us.
One thing you said, you used the word competition, and people don't realize the history of our whole country. It was literally set up to be 50 states that competed against each other for the best outcomes. And as soon as you start getting in the way of that, you don't get the best outcomes. And that should be the way it is at schools. Schools in different districts should compete against each other. And will there be winners and losers? Of course they will, but that's the only way to get the best outcome. And I love the way you said it. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the parents have the choice to make the decision that they know that is best for their kid.
Amen.
All right. State Rep Blaine Wilhour, where can we find you on social media?
On X, we're coming in hot every day there. You can just Google Blaine Wilhour. There's plenty of stuff out there. We're always bringing it.
Okay, you know what? You broke up when you said your X Twitter or your X handle. Excuse me. What are you? Yeah. Oh, he broke up again.
LAINEWILHOUR.
All right, thanks, Mr. Wilhour, State Rep for District 110, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You've probably been hearing a lot of buzz about tariffs.
I haven't.
Really?
What's a tariff?
It's a tax on imported goods.
It makes these imported goods more expensive.
Oh, that explains why I've never heard of tariffs.
Why?
Because 92.3% of the furniture at Penny Mustard is made in the USA.
True.
In fact, most of it is built by local craftsmen and women right here in the Midwest.
And locally sourced furniture will never have a tariff on it.
So when you invest in new furniture at Penny Mustard, you won't be paying extra taxes and shipping costs.
Besides, tariffs or no tariffs, our American-made Penny Mustard Strong furniture will last generations longer than IFE-made furniture shipped in from overseas.
You get so much more for your money when you buy American.
Tell me more about these tariffs.
Can we talk about this later? I'm so tired of hearing about them.
Oh, so I guess you can say that all this talk about tariffs is taxing.
I see what you did there.
PennyMustard.com.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Mike Lindell and his employees want to personally thank you for your continued support of MyPillow. They have a big allotment of their bed sheets that were earmarked for the box stores this spring. Well, they did it again. The box stores didn't come through, so they're going to pass the savings on to you. Now there is no middleman, so you're going to get wholesale prices on their famous